Hello everyone, thank you for coming back for this video. If you want, you can pause your video and then just read this paragraph. But I'm gonna go over more example on factoring and how to solve by factoring. The more practice, the better, as I said. So if you need a resource or more practice problems, please email me or see me during office hour, or you guys can use YouTube or Khan Academy. Or you can Google more example on CUDA, factoring example, factoring algebra 2 example. Internet has tons of resource, so please use it. I'll try to put those links below with this video, so you guys can just click and then practice more. So let's go over more example on quadratic equations by factoring. So we did factoring in live lessons. Now we are going to focus on more examples together. So here, if you want, you can use this example for your self-check problems as well. Let's go over number 1. Solve 8x squared equal to 384 plus 16x. So the first step, always move everything to the left. Okay? So I am going to move 384 to the left and then 16x to the left, which means you guys have to subtract 384 and then subtract 16x. So let me skip that step. It will be 8x squared minus 16x minus 384 equals to 0. I moved everything to the left-hand side, and then when you move your numbers or variable, the sign changes. Okay, now I have to factor this. Do you guys remember if coefficient is not 1 or leading coefficient is not 1, right? It's 8. We had to factor out our GCF, right? Something like this, blah, blah, blah. But when you are solving, because in live lesson we factored, now you guys are solving quadratic equation by factoring. In this case, it's a little bit more easier because you can just divide by its GCF. Why you can do that? Because you are setting everything equal to 0. So you can actually divide by 8. Because when you divide this by 8, you are dividing 0 by 8 as well, which is just going to be 0. So let's divide. If I divide 8 by 8, it becomes x squared. 16x becomes 2x. And then 384 divided by 8 is 48. But 0 divided by 8 is still 0. Okay? So now everything became simpler. So let's factor this. How are we going to factor? Let's use the x method. I have a negative 48 here. The top is our sum, right? Negative 2. Now I have to find two numbers. When I multiply, it's negative 48, but when I add, it's negative 2. Since my product is negative, one of the number has to be negative. So plus and minus, different sign. And since my sum is negative, bigger number or larger number has to be negative. So factor of 48, I can do 8 times 6, isn't it? Bigger number has to be negative because negative 8 times 6 is negative 48. And when I add, it becomes negative 2. So negative 8 and 6, that's your factor. So I can say x plus 6 times x minus 8 equal to 0. Again, when we are solving for quadratic equations, either this one has to be 0, right? Or this one has to be 0. Just one of them has to be 0 because 0 times some number is 0. So you have to set them equal to 0. Either x plus 6 is 0 or x minus 8 is 0. Therefore, x is negative 6. Or it can be 8 as well. So you guys have two solutions, x equal to negative 6 or x equals to 8. Okay. Let's go over example number 2. 7x squared minus 77x plus 196 equal to 0. Again, let's check GCF. Let's check if it's divisible by 7. x squared minus 11x plus 196 divided by 7 will give you, let's see, 28, right? There. Okay, so everything was divisible by 7, so now it's easier. Let's find 28 and 11. Okay, let's find the number that satisfies this. Product is 28 positive. My sum is negative 11. I have to come up with two numbers. When I multiply, it's a positive, but when I add, it's negative, which means they both has to be negative number. Why? Because negative times negative will give you positive. And then I have, let me rewrite, positive 28, isn't it? So let's find the two number. 28, I can do 2 times 14. They both have to be negative. Negative 2 times negative 14 is 28, but when you add, it's not negative 11. Let's do negative 7 times negative 4. Negative 7 times negative 4 give you positive 28. And when you add, you have negative 11. So x minus 7, x minus 4 equals to 0. And from here, we can say x minus 7 has to be 0, or x minus 4 has to be 0. Okay, let's solve. Let's cancel. So x is a 7. Or you add a 4. So x equals to 4. So the solutions, again, two solutions. X is either 7 or x equals to 4. One more example. I only have two terms. When you have two terms, it's really 90% of the time you can use either solving by square root method or GCF. In this case, I see my greatest common factor, so let's try GCF method. 4 and 40. What's my GCF for 4 and 40? They both are divisible by 4. So I pull out 4. Let's look at the variable. X is repeating, right? One of them is x squared, one of them is x. Always, whenever you are dealing with variable, you have to pull out lower exponents. So 4x. Parentheses. 4x times what give you 4x squared? X, right? X times x is x squared minus, now I have to have a 40. 4 times what give you 40? 10. And I already have x outside, so you don't have to write down x here. Equals to 0. If you want to make sure if your factoring is correct, you can distribute again. Okay, which means this part has to be 0, right? Or this part has to be 0. So you have to set them equal to 0. 4x has to be 0, or x minus 10 equals to 0. Here you have to solve for x. X equals to 0. Here you add 10. This cancels. X is 10. So you have two solutions. Either x equals to 0, when x is a 0, when you plugged in, everything becomes 0. Or when x equal to 10, when you plugged in, everything becomes 0. So you have two solutions. That's it for today. Please try to practice a lot. 2.6 practice problems first. You have to do 2.6 practice problem first before you do the quiz, because quiz is a summative and they're pretty much same questions. Everything is due on Sunday, but of course it will be opened or unlocked for you, so you can always go back and increase your grade. Submit your notebook, enjoy your weekend, and if you have any questions, please see me during office hour. And if you want to practice more on factoring or solving quadratic by factoring, please email me. I can give you more example, more practice problems. Okay? Everyone have a great weekend, and let's have a really fresh start with the quarter two. So let's stay focused, and then like don't wait until last minute. Please submit all the assignments weekly. All right, thank you.